This is the Action Movie Guys podcast, bringing you action movie reviews from across the decades, plus box office numbers and insight like never before. And now, your hosts of the Action Movie Guys podcast, Alex and Nate.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to episode number 47 of the Action Movie Guys podcast. I'm your host, Nate, and that's my co-host,
Alex Figueroa.
And this week, we are going to be going over Lethal Weapon 2. Now, if you guys heard our last episode, of course, we did Lethal Weapon 1. Alex, this is a first-time watch for me. I've never seen 2, 3, or 4. I don't know how I've missed them, but I just haven't gotten around to them. But I know you're a big fan of this franchise, yes?
Yeah, I love this franchise. This is my joint.
So
yeah,
you're a professional, and I'm like a rookie here coming into this for the first time.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. So, so we're going to be going over all the usual stuff you guys already know. We're going to be going over our criteria first. Then we're going to go over the box office, where I'm going to guess how much it made, and Alex is going to tell me I'm wrong. Then we're going to go over the Rotten Tomato scores, where he's going to guess what they got, and I'm going to tell him he's wrong. And then we're going to review the movie, and it's going to be a good time. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, please make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, leave in the comments what you score this movie. Give us the rankings, how many points you get, everything like that. And if you're listening on the go, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, please make sure you subscribe and you have your auto downloads turned on so that you get the new episodes every time they drop. All right, with that said, Alex, let's get into some box office. Now, I don't remember how much the first one made because, truth be told, we haven't recorded this show in 2 weeks, so I don't remember what the first one made. But with these franchises, typically, you get progression, right? Usually 2 and 3. 65. Thank you. This helps me. All right, so if the first one made 65, is 1989. I'm going to say that this one made $88 million at the U.S. box office. That is my guess. $88 million.
All right, so here we go. Box office numbers for Lethal Weapon 2 from 1989. Is Nate right? Wrong. Domestic was $147,253,986. This was a smash hit for the Lethal Weapon franchise. International was $80,600,000. Worldwide total of $227,853,986. This is a big hit. I think this is, again, 3 and 4. We're not going to tackle those yet, but right now, this is the biggest one.
I was close to the international box office with my guess. I was close to the international. But see, usually, and I literally just told you guys how 2 and 3 usually make more money than 1 when it's a franchise like this, and I guess too low. I should have went a little higher, but that's okay. All right, now, with that being said, we're going to go over some Rotten Tomato scores with you. Now, obviously, Alex is going to guess the critical score and the audience score. He's usually closer to one than the other. So let's see how this goes for him. Alex, the first one, by the way, Lethal Weapon 1, 80% critics, 86% audience, for reference.
All right, so Lethal Weapon 2, I will say, you said 80 critics. I will say 88 critics.
Okay.
This Lethal Weapon 2 is beloved by the fans. I know that for a fact. This one is a big one. So I will say a 93-ish to 92. 92.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So critic score, close. First one had an 80. This one has an 82%. Slightly higher, a little bit better. Audience, though, in a stunning turn of events, where the first one had an 86, this one has a 77%.
Oh, I was way off.
Audience score. Yeah, way down. So I think maybe the diehard Lethal Weapon fans love this one most, maybe, but maybe the casual public like the first one better. I don't know. Whatever. But you know what? At the end of the day, none of those matter because you guys are listening to us because you want our scores on the Lethal Weapon movies. It doesn't matter if it has an 86 because what did me, Nate, and Generous Al give to Lethal Weapon? I don't know. Maybe I'm Generous Nate this week. We never know. So first things first, lead character. And of course, so you guys know, this is the first ever series where we are scoring them together. Danny Glover and Mel Gibson, Riggs and Murtaugh. Alex, what do you give them in the lead?
Oh, straight off the bat, a 5. Their chemistry on screen oozes from the minute they come on screen. Their chemistry is right there in front of you. There's a lot of great moments. We'll talk about it throughout the review. But honestly, it's just a 5. They feed off each other so well. Even when they add in Leo Getz, which is Joe Pesci's character, that chemistry with those three become even locked on together. So it's a 5, dude. Like, I mean, I told you, it elevates from 1. I know you were a little on the first one, but I'm telling you, it starts to elevate between the chemistry between Danny Glover and Mel Gibson, and then adding on Joe Pesci to the mix.
Okay, so you know what? You gave the first one a 5. I gave the first one a 4.
Yeah.
Because I liked it. It was good. Their chemistry was good. Now, guess what? I'm still not at a 5 yet. But
what?
Listen, and I'm going to tell you why. I gave them a 4.5. I liked it better than the first overall. I did like the camaraderie between them. I thought the camaraderie was better. Here's why, as a lead character or lead characters, I still am not at a 5. For some reason, in this movie, they're like, so in the first movie, Danny Glover's character, about to retire, you know, good cop, really good at his job. Mel Gibson, loose cannon, suicidal, kind of crazy, you know what I mean? But he's like a deadly accurate shot. In the action scenes, they're really good. In this movie, and this is true, they for some reason are like worse at their jobs in this movie than they were at the first one. Like, they're a lot more bumbling. They mess up a lot more. They're constantly like doing stuff wrong. Where I'm like, what? In the last movie, you guys were such good police officers. And then this time, you do like every wrong move they could make, they pretty much make it until the end. So I'm like, well, dang, that doesn't seem like, I feel like they could have went, and this is going to factor into story, so I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but I just feel like they could have had that camaraderie that they had without making them so goofy. They're way more goofy in this movie than they were in the first movie. So it's still not a perfect for me, a 4.5. It's so close. I want that perfect balance. I want that perfect balance, but I haven't gotten it yet for myself. So 4.5. All right. Now, lead villain. This is me this time. So this villain was worse than the first one, in my opinion. I gave the first one a 3. I know you gave him a lower than me. This guy is just like this old South African guy who is like he has like diplomatic immunity. He's like some kind of politician type person in South Africa. And he's just an old guy. He's not like, he's an old guy with a bunch of henchmen that you know, Alex, this is one of my least favorite types of villains. Old guy with henchmen. He doesn't do anything himself. He doesn't get his hands dirty. You know, he's like a big baby, like, oh, I have immunity. I can do what I want. But he lets everyone else do everything for him. I'm not a big fan. I thought the actor was pretty good. I gave him a 2. He's not like the worst, like god-awful villain, but he's not very good either. 2.
Yeah, when it comes to that guy, you know, it's funny. I was going to rate the other guy that killed Riggs' wife, but he was not throughout the whole thing, and he's not really the main villain. So I went with the old guy. I gave him a 3. And the reason why I gave him a 3, we flip-flop. And the reason why I gave him a 3 was at the end, he basically shot up Riggs in the boat. Yeah. And like, he literally did something that the other ones never did. Like, he fought back, you know, and it's because he was hiding behind the, you know, the diplomatic immunity and I thought that last scene with him on the boat was actually pretty so 80s, but it was so awesome. Because he's like, you can't do nothing to me, right? And then he's just standing there, and then he shoots the crap out of Riggs, and then he's like, you know, it's been revoked, and then he shoots him in the head. And I was like, yeah! And then he's like, come on, Riggs! Don't die on me, Riggs! And I was like, oh, come on, man, don't die! I don't know. I'm just a sucker, because I love that movie. So, I don't know. I think they're really, see, we keep going back to them together, because they blossom. Yeah. So I'm like, there's nothing I can do. In terms of the bad guys, I thought it was really cool. I thought when he got angry when Riggs went into... Oh, yeah. Remember when Danny Glover and Joe Pesci goes to the... they go to the South African rally, right?
Yes.
And
oh,
he
my
goes,
gosh, yeah.
And he sits down and he's talking to the guy, right? Yeah. And he goes, I'm black, you son of a bitch. He goes, and then Leo Getz is pushing him too. I thought that was funny. I don't know. Yeah. And then they were laughing in the car. He's like, Blick. He was Blick.
Yeah, that part was funny. That made me laugh.
I thought that was funny. But yeah, the bad guys was a 3. It was a 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. All right, action scenes.
Okay, the action I gave this a 4.5.
Ooh, okay.
I don't think it was a full blown 5. It did have action. but not as crazier once we start getting into the other sequels. It gets bigger, especially 4 gets a lot more modern action, because they added Jet Li. So just to give you a heads up, Jet Li's in that movie. So with 2, I thought look, him sitting in the toilet is one of the best scenes I think I ever seen in the movie. Okay, because he tells him, Riggs, you got to keep it quiet. Right? And the Riggs go, yeah, I'll keep it quiet. And he told the whole fire department, he told the whole
the whole like bomb squad.
He told the bomb squad. I thought that was hilarious. I thought that was a cool action scene. I thought the action scene when Riggs is tearing down the house, when he's bringing it down, when he finds out that that guy killed his wife, and he just started to go crazy. I thought that was pretty cool. The boat scene was very Die Hard with a Vengeance, because they're fighting on that boat. If I got it right? That is that one, right? When he jumps on the boat, the cargo boat.
Oh yeah.
Right?
With the Vengeances, in New York,
Yeah, right. It was like to me, it felt like the same thing. They're fighting on that freight on top of the cargo boat. But yeah, I gave it a 4.5. I thought it was pretty good for what it was, 80s 9 style of movie.
Yeah, for me, I actually gave it the same score as the first movie. I gave it a 4.
Okay.
I think it's, because 80s action is what it is. They're shooting a lot of shooting guns. A lot of this one, I did like the action scene on the beach, on his like beach home when the helicopters come and he's with the girl. He's with that chick, and then they're like shooting it up, and he's like going under there. And that was probably my favorite action scene in the movie. I liked that it was at nighttime and you had like the helicopter lights and then the like sniper squad, not the sniper, like a SWAT team almost of bad guys. I thought that was cool. But overall, it's just like well-made, sturdy action. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's no amazing shots, no amazing choreography, but there's a good amount of action. So I gave it a 4.
Yeah, and even in the beginning when they're doing the car chase scene, he goes, "Move over, I gotta drive," and he goes, "No," and then he starts scratching the side of the car.
That made me laugh. He's like, "You were right, we didn't have enough room."
Yeah,
he's like, after he scratched up the whole car. Yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah,
that was pretty
funny.
Good. Yes. So okay, story now. I like the story in this movie. It was very relevant for the time because it had to deal with apartheid and South Africa and all that stuff and racism, and like that was a lot of that going on. I think it was not a bad idea for a movie like this to tie in some kind of real world events that were going on at the time. So that was cool. Also, I like that there's a little bit more backstory for Riggs, as far as like how his wife died and all that. That was cool. I absolutely love the addition of Joe Pesci. Joe Pesci in this movie. So this is like post Raging Bull, but pre Goodfellas. This came out before Goodfellas. So Goodfellas, he's funny, but he's like kind of scary, because he's crazy. And Casino, same thing. This is like goofy Home Alone comedy. Joe Pesci, hilarious. He's always like, okay.
Yeah.
He's doing that. Oh my gosh. I was laughing so hard every time. He's like, okay. And I was like, it cracked me up. His whole speech about going through the drive-thru at the Subway.
Oh, hilarious. When they screw you over? Yeah. When they fuck you? Yeah.
And he's like, he got tuna. They gave him the tuna. He's like, I don't like tuna. Okay. And he's talking about it. Oh my God. I was laughing so hard. So I like that addition. He adds a lot of flavor. He never listens. They're like, stay in the car. He gets right out of the car. He's just great. He was great. I gave the story overall, though, still a 4. Like, I wasn't blown away, but it was very good, well executed, nice addition. Good. This one's more of a comedy than the first one, in my opinion. The first one is kind of action first, comedy second, and this one is the other way around. I feel like it's comedy first, action second. It still works. They're just different,
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you. I think what they did with this part 2, I think they started to work on their strengths, which was throw a blend, throw the blend of comedy, right? And then the blend of action into it. You know what I mean? Like that family comedy style, like that Rush Hour style of comedy into it. Yeah. Which I think this one was way better than the Rush Hour. I mean, it's just Rush Hour had its own thing, which we will talk about in another episode. But for me, this storyline, I enjoyed this storyline. I thought it was it was actually a pretty good storyline. Did it continue from 1 to 2? Absolutely. It gave character developed. You got more, like you said, more of Riggs, more of Murtaugh, because now they had, you got to see more of his family grow up, and they're all the same actors, so the kids are growing up also with the character.
Yeah.
So I like that. I gave it a 4 for part 2. Yeah. So I agree with you on that. So yeah.
All right. So overall,
I think this is a solid sequel, dude. I think on it, rewatching it again, it's a very good sequel, and especially coming from their hit first one. It's rare. Like me and you always talk about it. It's kind of rare when you see the first movie being a cult classic, and then the second movie, it's like a flip a coin. It's either it stinks or it becomes more popular than the classic one. And I think Lethal Weapon 2 falls under the line that it's a lot of people's favorite parts, especially with the bomb scene in the toilet. A lot of people remember that scene. They love Leo Getz because he comes into this movie, his first cameo in here. So for me, this is a solid, and I'm going to give this a 4.5 out of 5. I think this is a solid sequel to the franchise.
I don't disagree with anything you said, and I actually have the same exact score of a 4.5. I think this is it's a good sequel in the sense of, for one, and one thing you said is very important. You have all the same actors, right? They didn't recast anybody. It's all the same people, all the way down to like that psychiatric nurse type lady, the blonde lady.
Oh,
she's
my
barely
God.
in it.
She's funny.
Yeah, but she's the same lady. You know, like they kept the same actress. The whole family's the same. You have the same director. Yeah, and Richard Donner directing again. And I believe he directed all 4.
All 4, yeah.
I always like, when the same director directs like all of them, you know, because they have the similar feel. But this does what a good sequel should do. And it's similar enough that you get all the stuff you liked, but it adds things and changes things where it makes it that it's not the same exact movie over and over.
Yeah.
So I also gave it a 4.5. I thought this one was funnier than the first one, and I'm a big comedy fan. So if you can make me laugh while also blowing stuff up, fine by me. I gave it a 4.5. So total score for me, this is weird, but it actually comes out to a 19 out of 25. That's the same thing that I gave the first movie, but spoiler alert for our rankings, I like this one better. So even though it worked out to the same points because of our scoring system, I had a better time with this one than the first one.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. I gave this one a 21. I enjoy this one. And again, there's nothing to take away from the first movie. I love the first movie a lot. I just like this one better because of Leo Getz, and I'm more immersive. Yeah. I'm more immersed into the storyline, I guess, with the comedy elements into the action. So
yeah, I agree. I thought it was better. So that is Lethal Weapon 2. Please, you want to keep your eye out and your ear out for our next episode. We're going to be wrapping up our Western-themed movies with the remake of The Magnificent Seven, starring Denzel Washington, Chris Pratt, and a bunch of other good actors in it. We'll be covering that next. And then next week, we will be moving on to our next subcategory, and we'll be doing Lethal Weapon 3, and we'll start our Jason Statham month. We're going to be covering 4 movies that star Jason Statham. I'm excited because I know you haven't seen all of them. No. So that should be a fun time.
Yeah, so if you want to follow Nate on his social media platform, please follow Nate over on Instagram at NateFlixReviews on Instagram. Check out the podcast with him and his friends called Nate Flix Movie Reviews on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, anywhere you listen to podcasts on. Levels of Geeks, follow us on any social media platform, whether it's Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, Levels of Geeks, throughout every social media platform except for Facebook and TikTok. We have a website, www.levelsofgeeks.com, where we have our merchandise. We have all our episodes up, nicely organized for you guys there. Written reviews that complements with the 4K disc reviews that we drop with the Should You upgrades. Nate writes the movie reviews for those. Other than that, guys, he's your host, Nate. I'm your host, Alex Figueroa. Be awesome to each other and geek out.